Patriots Nation woke up to some serious movement behind the scenes, and this time it is not just speculation or noise. There are real changes happening, and they are starting to shape what this team could look like heading into the next phase. One of the biggest talking points right now is the quarterback room, because a familiar face is no longer part of the picture. The departure of Josh Dobbs caught a lot of people off guard, especially considering the role he quietly played behind the scenes. He was not just another name on the depth chart. He was someone who contributed to the development of the young core, particularly helping guide the new starting quarterback through the ups and downs of the season. The decision to move on was not random, though. When you look closer, it starts to make sense from a roster-building perspective. By letting Dobbs go, the team frees up valuable cap space, giving them more flexibility to make moves elsewhere. That extra financial breathing room might not seem massive at first glance, but in the National Football League, every bit counts. It opens the door for potential contract extensions, future signings, or even last-minute opportunities that appear as the offseason unfolds. It is a calculated move, one that signals confidence in the current direction of the quarterback room. And that confidence becomes even clearer when you consider the commitment made to Tommy DeVito. The organization is showing that they trust him to handle the backup role, and that says a lot about how they evaluate their own roster. Instead of stacking the position with veterans, they are choosing stability and development. It also reinforces the idea that Drake May is firmly established as the leader of this offense moving forward. There is no hesitation, no uncertainty. The message is simple. This is his team, and everything is being built around that reality. With that kind of clarity, it also allows the coaching staff to approach the roster differently. Carrying fewer quarterbacks creates opportunities elsewhere, whether that means adding depth in key positions or taking chances on young talent. It would not be surprising at all to see the Patriots explore the draft for a developmental quarterback later on, someone they can mold over time without immediate pressure. That kind of long-term thinking has always been part of successful organizations, and it looks like it is still very much alive here. But the Patriots did not just subtract, they also added, and that is where things get even more interesting. James Hudson enters the picture as a reinforcement on the offensive line, a position that desperately needs stability. He brings experience, having played significant snaps on both sides of the line, and that versatility alone makes him a valuable piece. However, there is a bit of a gamble here. His past performances have shown flashes of potential, but also moments that raise concerns, including issues with discipline that cannot be ignored. Still, this is the kind of move that feels very intentional. The Patriots are not necessarily expecting him to come in and dominate right away. Instead, this is about depth, competition, and the possibility of unlocking something more under the right coaching. If the staff can refine his technique and clean up the mistakes, there is a chance he becomes more than just a backup option. And if not, the risk is relatively low compared to the potential reward. Looking at the bigger picture, you can start to see how the roster is slowly coming together. The numbers are climbing, and the team is getting closer to that full off-season limit. But what stands out is not just how many players are on the roster, it is where the gaps still exist. The offensive tackle position remains a major concern, and it is clear that more work needs to be done there. The same can be said for the defensive edge, where adding impact players could completely change the dynamic of the defense. There is also an ongoing conversation about the wide receiver group. On paper, there is talent, but the question is whether that talent translates into consistent production. The Patriots seem to be taking a measured approach here, avoiding the temptation to bring in just any name. Instead, they are looking for players who can make an immediate difference, not just fill a spot. That mindset could push them toward exploring options beyond the draft, especially if a proven playmaker becomes available. As things stand, the team appears comfortable with several of the pieces already in place. There is belief in the current group, but also an understanding that improvement is still necessary. That balance between confidence and urgency is what defines this stage of the offseason. Every move matters, every decision carries weight, and the front office knows that the margin for error is slim. At the same time, attention is already shifting toward the upcoming draft. The Patriots have been actively evaluating prospects, meeting players, and gathering as much information as possible. These interactions are not just routine, they are strategic. Each conversation, each visit, helps paint a clearer picture of who fits the system and who does not. And when you connect that with the recent roster moves, it becomes obvious that there is a plan in motion, one that is still unfolding piece by piece. As the draft gets closer, the sense of urgency inside the building starts to rise, and you can tell the Patriots are leaving no stone unturned. The front office has been extremely active in scouting meetings, especially during pro days, where face-to-face interaction often reveals much more than what shows up on film. These moments are where teams test not only talent, but mindset, discipline, and how well a player can adapt to the demands of the professional level. And based on who the Patriots have been talking to, you can already see patterns forming in terms of what they are prioritizing. One of the more intriguing developments is the continued evaluation of quarterbacks, even after making it clear who their starter is. This is not about creating controversy or competition at the top, but about building depth the right way. Bringing in a young prospect late in the draft, someone who can develop quietly without pressure, fits perfectly into the structure they are building. It is about having options, about thinking ahead, and making sure the position is secure not just for now, but for the future as well. The running back position is another area where the Patriots seem to be keeping their eyes open. Not necessarily because of a glaring weakness, but because of the potential to add versatility. Modern offenses demand players who can do more than just run between the tackles. They need athletes who can catch passes, create mismatches, and contribute in multiple phases of the game. When a team shows interest in different types of running backs, it usually means they are looking for that extra dimension, someone who can bring unpredictability to the offense. Then there is the wide receiver group, which continues to spark debate. The Patriots appear to be carefully evaluating whether adding another receiver through the draft is truly the best move. It is not just about adding numbers. It is about finding the right fit. If the available prospects do not project as immediate impact players, the team might choose to look elsewhere. That approach speaks volumes about their current mindset. They are not rushing decisions, and they are not settling. Every addition needs to serve a clear purpose. At tight end, the focus seems to be on identifying players who can grow into larger roles over time. This is a position that often requires patience, as development can take longer compared to others. The Patriots understand that, and their scouting reflects a willingness to invest in potential rather than immediate production. Finding someone who can contribute early while still having room to evolve could end up being one of the more underrated moves of the offseason. When you shift attention to the trenches, both on the offensive and defensive sides, the importance becomes even more obvious. The Patriots have been evaluating multiple linemen, and that should not surprise anyone. Games are won and lost in those areas, and depth there is absolutely critical. On the offensive line, the need is immediate. Protection has to improve, and consistency is non-negotiable. Bringing in competition through the draft could push the entire unit to perform at a higher level. Defensively, the focus on interior linemen and edge players shows a clear intention to strengthen the front. Pressure changes everything. It disrupts timing, forces mistakes, and creates opportunities for the secondary. By targeting multiple prospects in these areas, the Patriots are signaling that they want to build a defense that can dictate the pace of the game, not just react to it. And when you combine that with the potential of adding more than one player at the position, it becomes clear they are aiming for both quality and depth. What stands out the most is how all these pieces connect. The roster moves, the cap adjustments, the scouting activity, it all points in the same direction. There is a structure being built, step by step, with a clear understanding of what needs to improve and how to address it. This is not a rushed rebuild or a desperate attempt to fix everything at once. It is a controlled process, one that relies on evaluation, patience, and calculated decisions. And while there is still a lot of work to be done, the foundation is becoming more visible with each passing day. The Patriots are shaping an identity, one that leans on development, discipline, and smart roster management. The coming weeks will be crucial, especially as the draft unfolds and new players are brought into the system. Each selection will add another layer to what this team is trying to become, and every move will be analyzed through the lens of long-term success. At the same time, there is always the possibility of something unexpected. A trade, a late signing, a move that shifts the narrative entirely. The Patriots have positioned themselves to be flexible, to react when opportunities arise. And that flexibility could end up being one of their biggest advantages as the offseason continues to unfold. especially with certain high-impact players potentially becoming available and changing the entire outlook of the roster in a matter of moments. And that is where things can take a completely different turn, because flexibility in the National Football League is not just a luxury. It is often the difference between a good team and a dangerous one. The Patriots have quietly put themselves in a position where they can react quickly if the right opportunity shows up. Whether it is a veteran player becoming available or a situation developing unexpectedly around the league, they now have the tools to make a move without having to completely restructure their plans. There is also a growing sense that the front office is being extremely intentional about not overcommitting too early. Instead of chasing every available name, they are letting the market come to them. That patience could pay off in a big way, especially when teams start making tougher decisions closer to the season. This is often when valuable players become available at a lower cost, and organizations that planned ahead are the ones ready to capitalize. At the same time, the internal competition within the roster is starting to become a major storyline. With new additions and returning players fighting for roles, every position group is going to feel the pressure. That kind of environment can elevate performance across the board because no spot is guaranteed. Players know they have to earn their place, and that urgency can bring out the best in a team that is still trying to redefine itself. Another important layer to all of this is how the coaching staff plans to utilize the pieces they already have. It is not just about bringing in new talent. It is about maximizing what is currently on the roster. Adjustments in schemes, roles, and responsibilities can sometimes have as much impact as a big signing. If the Patriots can unlock better production from players who are already in the system, it could accelerate their progress in a way that is not immediately obvious from the outside. The offensive identity, in particular, feels like something that is still being shaped. With a young quarterback leading the way, the balance between supporting his development and pushing the offense forward is crucial. That means building around his strengths, creating situations where he can succeed, and gradually expanding what is asked of him. Every addition, every adjustment, needs to align with that objective. On the defensive side, the expectation is a bit different. There is already a foundation in place, but the goal now is to make it more disruptive and more consistent. Adding depth along the line and increasing the ability to generate pressure could completely change how opposing offenses approach this team. When a defense can control the tempo and force mistakes, it creates opportunities that can shift the outcome of games very quickly. As the countdown to the draft continues, the anticipation keeps building, not just because of who the Patriots might select, but because of what those selections represent. Each pick is a statement about the direction of the franchise, about what they value, and about how they plan to compete moving forward. It is not just about talent. It is about fit, mentality, and long-term vision. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder around Christian Barmore, and inside league circles, the tone has shifted from cautious optimism to something far more ominous. The word being used? Monster. Sources close to New England Patriots suggest that Barmore has not only returned to form, but has embraced a leadership role that could redefine the identity of the defense. There is a sense that something has changed behind closed doors. Coaches are said to be quietly thrilled, pointing to a renewed intensity in preparation and a visible edge during team sessions. Teammates, meanwhile, reportedly see a different presence entirely, more vocal, more commanding, and far less willing to let standards slip. It's the kind of transformation that doesn't always show up in headlines immediately, but often echoes loudly once the season unfolds. Around the league, scouts are already taking notice. The speculation is that Barmore could become the central force in a defensive unit built on disruption and psychological pressure. His physical tools were never in question, but insiders hint that the mental aspect of his game has taken a leap, turning raw dominance into calculated chaos for opposing offenses. There's also growing chatter that the Patriots' defensive schemes are being subtly reshaped to maximize his impact. If true, that would signal a level of trust reserved only for cornerstone players. Some executives believe this could mark the beginning of a new defensive era in New England, one anchored by aggression and unpredictability. Of course, none of this has been confirmed publicly, and within the organization, the tone remains measured. Yet the rumor persists. The monster is back, and this time, he may not just be a piece of the system. He might be the system itself. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.